I'm a school property advisor based in Invercargill here, and we really are finding we're having to drive this wood energy at a local level, because when you look further north, they don't have the same heat demand, and they also have a whole lot of other options in terms of energy use. So I've put a bit of time into this myself. So yeah, that's where we're sort of heading. We've got a problem. We're looking at options. I'll go through the preferred solution, what benefits come from that, and where we're going in the future. Okay. The main issues affecting us at the moment, the quality of the local coal supply is variable and generally declining. So we recognise that the good quality coal is probably being sourced, the easy stuff to get to. So we're finding all sorts of quality issues, and with the schools and caretakers are fighting with that. The second bullet point there, the school boards are opting for a cheaper low-grade coal, lignite, rather than the higher calorific value coal blends. So it's really operating OPEX costs that are driving them to provide that, and along with the fact that school staff aren't being suitably trained in the correct operation and maintenance of coal boilers to improve their safety, boiler efficiency, and reduce the maintenance costs. So that's another operational cost for the school, and they don't always invest wisely in terms of upskilling their staff. The one about unhealthy operator environment in boiler houses, we're finding that as their boilers are aging, the emissions within the boiler house are deteriorating, and it's something we recognise we've got to deal with. We're putting more ventilation into boiler houses, but it's just it's not sustainable long term to keep it that way. Minimum boiler temperatures, they're not being maintained, and condensation and corrosion are shortening the life of the school boilers, and this relates back to the fuel supply cost decision. Sometimes the low cost fuels aren't producing the heat required, and then we're getting other operational condensation and corrosion issues. And we're always mindful of the carbon taxes of the future, how coal supplies, the costs are going to continue to go up. So we're mindful of that. Okay, when the boilers are at the end of their life or near the end of their life, we would generally get a professional heat energy option assessment undertaken to look at the whole life costs. Board of Trustees left to their own devices, they tend to lean towards the lowest capital cost, and there was a point in time when the Ministry of Education paid the actual and reasonable energy costs. There was no incentive for schools to actually find an energy efficient boiler. So there was a period of time when the coal-fired boilers were being replaced with diesel boilers, and we've got a lot of them around Southland now. They're lasting forever. They'll be there for a very long time now, unfortunately. But we're exploring now. We're giving a bit more direction, and we've put a halt on the heat, light and water costs to schools. We're only inflation adjusting those now, not basing them on just actual costs. And so when we look at the whole of life cost, we're looking at CapEx and OPEX, and we're looking at coal, diesel, LPG, wood pellet and wood chip. And generally we deem a life of a boiler to be around 25 years for the purpose of this exercise, even though we know our existing boilers Some of them are probably 30, 40, 50 years old and still going strong, but we know that they're going to, well, we know now they're falling over on us sort of probably about 2 or 3 a year. So progressively replacing those. So here's a typical example of an energy options sort of whole life cost assessment. So you'll see diesel and LPG, the lowest capital cost here, and it's got high energy costs, so they ramp up at a steeper level. Coal-fired boiler in blue. The jump up here is that generally it's low quality coal. We're having to replace the boiler at that point in time, about 20 years, instead of not getting the life out of the boilers that we used to get. And we've got wood chip and wood pallets. So you see with wood pallets, because we don't have any easy local supplier, a lot of transportation and cartage there, it ramps up pretty quickly. So the whole life cost in terms of wood chips over 25 years is the lowest whole life cost for us, which is what we're making investment decisions on. So rather than the upfront capital cost. Next one. So we found the 8 medium-sized schools that have got somewhere between 5 to 30 classrooms in them, who have completed these energy option reports, have all produced a result of wood chip being the last whole life cost option. So you can't just assume that everyone's going to be the same. We've all got different circumstances in terms of their locality, the boiler house configuration. So they do vary from each one. We've used for small schools a temporary. Oh no, what I was saying there is we've used temporary containerised diesel boilers used where existing coal boilers are not operational. So we're not left high and dry if a boiler suddenly falls over on us. We've got some backup options where we can keep the school operating, and that's how we've done it to date. We have had some schools where we've used electric heaters as a temporary option. We've had an electrical upgrade sort of recently that can handle that, but it's the large secondary schools that we're most nervous about, and we would probably be struggling to keep them operating if their boilers did fall over. So we're probably going to have to replace those boilers before they reach the end of their life rather than waiting on them to fall over. Most wood chip installations have required a small addition to the boiler house to accommodate the buffer tanks or the fuel store. So we recognise that we need larger storage capacity than what we do with coal. And the size of the fuel store being installed is varied depending on the travelling distance from the supplier. So we don't particularly want big industrial looking stores on our urban schools. So we've tended to have smaller fuel stores with a higher number of deliveries, but probably similar to what they're getting now with coal. But the rural schools will probably have a larger bunker that can handle bulk loads to reduce the risk of not having fuel when they need it, and bring the cost back a little bit. The benefits that we're finding flowing from this now, there's the high-tech wood chip boilers in Southland are starting to give us the use of a renewable energy efficient fuel. We've got clean, tidy and healthy boiler houses with minimal operator involvement. In some cases we've only got to empty the ashes about twice a year, and the caretakers can do the other work around the school with their maintaining the school facilities. Of just about don't need to go near the boiler house. It's all automated now. minimal ash for disposal. And there it's potash, so it can be just put on school gardens, and a lot of schools have got vegetable gardens and things like that they're looking for fertiliser for. So, increased life of the surrounding roofing materials with non-corrosive emissions, which is certainly a factor for us. We're anticipating we're probably going to get probably another 5 years life out of the roofs as a result of having less sulphur emissions and things falling onto the roof. And more of our schools are starting to become Enviro schools, and we're trying to teach environmental sustainable practices, and this is a good way of actually sort of demonstrating that, and the schools can use, students can use it in their studies as well, and there's a lot more sort of electronic information they can gain from these borders that they can actually share and learn from. And by having wood chip, we're avoiding those issues with dangerous goods licences and complicated fuel storage regulations that you have with diesel and LPG around a built-up site. And so, yeah, that's something we like to avoid when we can. There's also minimal risk of explosion occurring. Such clean and tidy and enclosed environments, we're not getting the dust issues or risk of dangerous sort of fuels and things leaking or exploding. Hoping clean air emissions hasn't really been driving us completely at the moment, but it's something that we're mindful of. We know that eventually the schools will come under the same sort of level of constraints and things that the domestic market's looking at right now. So we're looking forward to not having to put scrubber units into the area for our emissions. And hopefully there's no likelihood of future carbon tax charges for our smaller boilers that we do have, so we don't have large ones. And for the future, the Ministry of Education's got a lot more ageing school-fired boilers in Southland. Given the results of the whole life cost assessments and the positive feedback from the schools, we've now got wood chip boilers. I can see a regular program of wood chip boiler installations over the next 10 years. And as it says there, warm and reliable school heating systems equals happy and healthy kids, which is what the name of the game is. We're supplying the education in Southland, and we need to have facilities that support that.